The Trump administration has announced its intention to withdraw from a trade agreement that permits Mexico to export tomatoes to the United States without tariffs, as stated by the Commerce Department. Beginning on July 14th, tomatoes imported from Mexico will incur a tariff of 20.91%, a massive, basically 21%. The current agreement has failed to protect U.S. tomato growers from unfairly priced Mexican imports, as Commerce has been flooded with comments from them urging its termination. This action will allow U.S. tomato growers to compete fairly in the marketplace, the department said in a news release this Monday. The Department of Commerce oversees the sale of Mexican tomatoes in the U.S. through a suspension agreement that establishes minimum pricing and regulates transactions between growers and importers. In 2019, Mexican tomato producers reached an agreement with President Donald Trump's administration to resolve a tariff dispute. Under the terms of the 2019 agreement, Mexican growers committed to not selling tomatoes below a specified reference price were served as a seasonally adjusted minimum price for exports to the U.S. According to Mexico's Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development, approximately 56% of the country's tomato production is exported, with 99% of those exports going to the U.S., as reported by Milenio. In 2023, the U.S. market represented $2.7 billion in tomato exports from Mexico, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The Laredo Customs District in South Texas, which includes the World Trade Bridge in Laredo and the FAR Reynosa International Bridge in FAR, is the primary entry point for tomato imports from Mexico, followed by the Nogales border crossing in Arizona. Officials from the Florida Tomato Exchange, also known as the FTE, have expressed their support for the tariffs on tomatoes grown in Mexico. Florida growers have long advocated for stricter regulations on Mexican tomatoes. Since 1996, 5 separate agreements have been negotiated between the U.S. and Mexico concerning tomato imports. In June 2023, the FTE urged the federal government to terminate the existing tomato agreement, claiming it had failed to prevent unfairly traded Mexican tomatoes from destroying the U.S. tomato industry, as stated in this news release. This is a major victory for American agriculture, Robert Guthner, FTE Executive Vice President, said in a news release on Monday. For decades, American tomato farmers have suffered from unfair trade practices by Mexican tomato exporters. Terminating this agreement and enforcing U.S. trade laws is the only way to finally give domestic growers the relief they've long deserved.